the war on drugs are made for people who are under the age of 30. You're the ones who are going to get caught, not likely my middle-aged ass. So, I want to help you stay out of jail. And it's a very simple thing to do, and all you got to know is your rights. The rights that you have under the Constitution, under Miranda decisions, all these rights. And it's a real simple thing to remember. Number one, when you're talking to a police officer, when they pull you over, ask them right ahead. You know, the first thing you say is, "Good evening, officer. Can you tell me why you've pulled me over?" Start with a question, right? You take command of the situation, because they are trained to take command of the situation, intimidate you, make you feel like you got to do everything they say, and you don't. So you start by asking, "Officer, why have you pulled me over this morning?" What you're trying to do is to find out what law he thinks you've broken, or she, could be a female officer, right? What law they think you have broken. By knowing that, that's a piece of evidence, that's a piece of the situation that your attorney can use later on if it goes to that far. If it goes that far, you've got the cop on record as saying why they thought they pulled you over. Now he's got to prove that in court, so that helps. Number two, officer, I do not want to answer any questions unless I have my attorney present. Right? Now you don't have to start with that, right? Like, you don't want him to think like, all right, what's he trying to hide? He's luring up all of a sudden. But if they start asking questions, like, oh, well, you know, I pulled you over because it looked like you changed lanes a little too late. Where are you headed tonight? Oh, officer, I don't really feel like answering a bunch of questions without my attorney present. Oh, what? You have something to hide? No, I just believe in the Constitution. Keep it short, right? Keep it short. And then from that point on, if they continue to badger you, it's, "Officer, I'm sorry, at this point I'm going to have to invoke my right to remain silent, and I really want to talk to my attorney." Pull out your cell phone. I'm sorry, officer, I really want to talk to my attorney. A friend of mine recently got pulled over by an attorney, pulled over by a cop. That'd be strange, wouldn't it? Got pulled over by a cop, and the cop, as he was talking to him, he calls up my attorney as well. He's the same attorney, right? John Lucy at law420.com. Calls him on the phone. The attorney was at a party. The attorney couldn't hear a damn thing he was saying. And so my friend's going, yeah, John, yeah, this is John. I just got pulled over the cop. And on the other end, the attorney's going, what? What? I'm at a party. I can't hear you. But John just kept pretending. Oh, yeah, he pulled me over. He said that I did a line. Yeah, he's right here. He's Officer Jones, badge number. The attorney couldn't hear just because the cop was intimidated enough to think the attorney was on the line. He got out of any sort of ticket or any sort of problem. And number four, most important thing, do not consent to a search. Just do not consent. Now, they got all sorts of tricks to make you consent to a search. They'll say, you don't have any drugs in your car. You don't mind if I search, do you? Well, if you say no, what did you just say no to? No, I don't have drugs in my car, or no, I don't mind if you search. Right? They got these little tricks, right? So you just want to say, officer, I don't consent to any searches. I don't consent. Well, you know, we can bring the dogs out here. We bring dogs out here and they alert. We're going to, they'll go through the whole thing and we'll tear it all up. Officer, I do not consent to any searches. Well, you know, we've got probable cause. I can smell weed in your car. Officer, I do not consent to any searches. Now, they may try to intimidate you. Well, we'll break your windows out. You know, because one of the things they tell you to get out of the car, roll up your windows, lock the doors when you get out of your car, put the keys in your pocket. Because one of the ways they'll search is they'll say, well, Your Honor, the offender left his door open, and that obviously meant that I had the right to search. And they'll get away with that stuff in court, too. Shut the door, lock the windows, lock the car. Well, if you lock the car, we'll break out your windows. Officer, I do not consent to any searches, because believe me, replacing the broken windows in your car is cheaper than having to deal with having a drug offense on your record for the rest of your life. No matter what they threaten you with, it's not as bad as having a drug offense on your record for the rest of your life. It's going to affect you getting jobs. It's going to affect you getting housing. It's going to, in the age of Google, it's going to affect your dating life. They'll look that up on you, right? Nothing the cops threaten you with is worse than a drug offense on your record. And no matter how dead to rights guilty you might think you are, if your attorney, if you've done what I've said and asserted your rights, and that ever does go to court, your attorney will be so easily able to throw out the evidence in court. They'll be able to show that you resisted searches. If the cops did any little tiny technical thing wrong, the whole case gets thrown out. But none of that can happen if you admit to a cop you broke a law. None of that can happen if you go, yeah, officer, here's my little bag of weed. It's not much. Can I go now? No. No, you can get in the back of my car. Nothing good happens if you make the cops' jobs easier. Make them have to prove it in a court of law, and let our attorneys help you out so that you don't end up with that drug offense on your record, okay? So, let's move on. We got a great band here that's just about ready.